Hi colleagues, this is Yang Sang, and I'm recording this video to present you a tool I built over the summer of 2019, and its name is HawkQB, and the QB is for question bank. So this system is a question bank, and we can put our exercise questions in the question bank. We can use this question bank to give students exercises to do, or even closed book or open book tests. And I have spent a lot of time during the summer, and now I think this tool is ready to be released. I won't say this tool is perfect yet, but I do think this question bank has some very important features, and they're ready, and I'm ready to make it available starting from the beginning of the fall semester in 2019. And one of the cool things that I built into this question bank is called micro-credentials. So micro-credentials are defined to be very fine-grained credentials or competencies we, as instructors, expect students to know. And I have already built in two micro-credentials, and the first one is naming and variables, and the second one is basic operators. So you may disagree with me on how those micro-credentials should be defined. And well, actually, there are many different ways. And you can use high-level micro-credentials. For example, like you can say if and else. That is one micro-credential. Or you can break if and else into many micro-credentials. For example, you can say nested structure is one micro-credential, and chained structure is another micro-credential. And well, there's really not any correct or wrong standard on making micro-credentials. And for example, I have done something crazy, and I created more than 100 micro-credentials in my 131 course. Probably you don't want to do that. And anyhow, you can create micro-credentials by yourself. And the cool thing is, after you created micro-credentials, and then you can create your questions. And you can tag each question with your micro-credential. So let me show you what I have put into this system as demo data. Okay, so first, let's take a look on a course I have created, and its title is CSC 131 Reviews. So if we want to take a look, I can see the title, the description, and from the description, you can see actually this is a review course, actually for CSC 231 students to help them review CSC 131 knowledge. And the next part, we have a token. So this token can allow students to self-register to this course as long as they have this token. And the next part, well, we can specify how many choices we want to have for multiple choice or multiple select questions, and the default value is 4. And if we want to create a course for a exam, and you can check this box. And for this one, it's not an exam, so I'm going to keep it unchecked. And the next part, I specify a deadline of this course. So all the questions will be closed after this deadline. And the last one, well, I specify the maximum attempts allowed on each question is 2. So if for each of the students, they can he or she can try a question up to 2 times only. And if you are very generous, you can also make it unlimited. So for students, they can have unlimited tries on each of the questions. So this is the course. And on the course, you can see there's a button, manage registrations. So if you click here, you should be able to see all the students, but for now, I don't have any students here. And if you know, if you know a student email and he or she has already registered, you can also drag a student into your course. But unfortunately, currently I only have 2 students, and they are both myself. And let's move on and talk about the micro-credentials. I have already put in 2 micro-credentials, and I want to put in another one. So the next one I want to do is core data types. And I want to give an identifier, and I'm going to just use CS103. And you can put a description, say integers, floats, and strings, booleans, etc. Okay, so, and you again may argue with me if it is a good idea to design a macro-credential which contains multiple data types, and probably this is not a very good idea if I'm teaching 131. But if I'm reviewing 131, I would say it is fine. So the next part, we have created one more macro-credential, which is this one, CS103. Okay, the next part, I want to associate this new macro-credential to our course. So I'm going to click Manage Macro-Credentials, and I'm going to check this box and associate. So now all 3 existing macro-credentials are all associated to CSC 131 reviews. And just in case you make a mistake, you can always dissociate. And if you click that, and this is no longer attached or associated to CSC 131. But actually, I'm going to associate again. So the next part, we want to add a few questions related to the macro-credentials. Okay, so to create questions, I'm going to click all your questions. This will bring you to a new page, and you can see all the existing questions we have already created in this question bank. And other than that, you can also create new questions. And for now, this system only supports 2 types of questions. There are multiple choice and multiple select. So I'm going to try to create a new multiple choice question. So actually, I have a question on another screen, but you don't see that. Let me do some copy and quick paste very quick. So I'm copy this one, the description, and I'm copying the choices. Okay, so I have put the description of the question, and I need a title. So I'm going to say power operator in Python. Okay, so I have a title, I have a description, and I want to associate this question to CSC 131 reviews. And if you know Python, probably you can say, okay, this one should be the right answer. So that's it for creating this question. So I'm going to create this question. So this question is created, and you can see this one is the correct answer. And if you want to edit this question, the next step is we can actually scroll down, and we can tag this question with one or many macro-credentials. So if I want to check all 3 of them, and this means I have created this question to test all 3 macro-credentials. I check all of them, I click Associate. Okay, so you can see the new question is here. So the question type is multiple choice, and it actually has 3 macro-credentials associated. And you may say, it's not right. So the first macro-credential and the last macro-credential is not in this question. So we can change it. So I want to dissociate this one, and I want to dissociate this one. Okay, so let's take another look on another question. So for this question, we are asking the variable names with underscores. So in this case, I want to check this one, the naming and variables, and I click Associate. Okay, as as you can see, well, as we added those questions, you can see the question types and the micro-credentials associated to each question, and we are managing those questions. And another place we can see those questions should be here. So if under this course, if we click Manage Questions, and we can see those questions again. So all those questions, they are associated to CSC 131 reviews for now. Okay, now we are going to go to the students end and see how students can use this system. Before we log out, let's take a look on the token. So I'm going to copy the token, and this is a token that a student can use. So I'm going to log out and say I'm a student, I want to register. So I'm going to just register a random ID DDD1234 at uncw.edu, and I'm going to create a very easy password. And oops, I think I typed one more. And I'm going to say student tester, for example. Okay, so I'm going to sign up, and now, no, I don't want to save that. And we are as a student, and we are logging to this system. So we can see this is the email we registered, and this is the name, and our role, the role of the current user is a student. And on the student dashboard, unfortunately, we see nothing, but remember, we have a token here. So if we put in this token and click Add, we can self-register to this course. Okay, so in this course, we can say the title and the course policy. So our questions close in 2 months, and you can try each question up to 2 times. Okay, and I can see there are a total of 6 open questions. Let me click on Open Questions. Okay, so when we see those questions, we can see a table with the title, the type, and when it was updated, and how many times I have tried those questions. And remember, I can only try each question up to 2 times. So I'm going to try this one. And for this one, which is the power operator, so it should be this one. This is the right answer. I submit. And since this is not an exam, I can see it is correct or wrong immediately after I submit my answer. And let me try another one. So how about this one? So for this one, which of the following is an invalid statement? So for example, if I don't know the answer, I may think the first one is invalid. I'm going to do a submit. So as you can see, the first attempt is not correct, and it also records I have already done this once. So I'm going to take this again. I take this again, and let me try a different one. How about I try the last one? Okay, I'm going to submit again, and unfortunately, it is wrong again. So I have tried this question 2 times, and as you can see, I can't take this question anymore. I have used my 2 attempts, and it is still wrong. Okay, and I can click on this icon, and I can say, okay, so this is the question, all the choices, and my answer is this one, and it is wrong. And I can also see as a student which micro-credential or which micro-credentials are required in this question. So the next part, I'm going to show you how does an exam look like in the HawkQB. So I'm going to create a new course, and this one should be CSC 131 assessment. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to do another token, which is CSC 131 assessment, and I'm going to check this exam. So I'm gonna make this exam close tomorrow, and the answers will be available at 1 day later. So tomorrow, all the questions will be closed, and the day after tomorrow, and all the answers, I mean the correct answers, will be available to students. And since this is an exam, I'm going to be a little bit generous. I'm going to allow students to try 4 times, for example. So I'm going to create this course. And as you can see for this course, now I don't have any question and I don't want to create new questions. So how about I go to existing questions? And there are a bunch of existing questions. I want to clone some of the questions from the former course. So let me clone this one. And let me go again. Let me also clone this one. So I have cloned 2 questions, as you can see here. So this one is cloned. This one is also cloned. So I can see those questions are cloned. And those 2 questions, they are not associated to any course either. So I'm going to edit those questions. The first thing is I'm going to get rid of the clone. And the next thing, I'm going to associate this question to the assessment, which is an exam. Update. And I'm going to do the same thing for this one. So get rid of the cloned and associate this question to the right course. Okay, so now if we check the questions in this course, we can see there are 2 questions. Okay, and if we try to edit this, you can see the course title, and I'm going to copy the token. And for now, this exam is ongoing because it's not closed yet, and the answers are not available yet. So I'm going to log out and log in as the student we just registered, and we log in and go to student dashboard. Student can self-register with this token. So now this student can see another course, and you can see our questions close in about 22 hours, and correct answers will be available in 2 days, and you can try each question up to 4 times. Okay, there are only 2 questions. So open questions. I'm gonna try this one. Say if I know this answer, I answer this correctly. And you can see I have answered this question once, but you see the score is hidden. And the next one, I'm going to do a wrong answer. So I'm going to do this one, and I know this is a wrong answer, but it doesn't matter because I'm in the middle of the exam and I don't see my answers are correct or wrong. So let's say we have a time machine. We want to go to 3 days later, for example, but we can't do that. So we have to change the exam due date. So I'm gonna make this exam due yesterday, the day before yesterday. And the answers are also available the day before yesterday. So after updating those 2 deadlines, I'm closing this exam, and I'm also making the right answers available to students. So update the course, let me log out and log back in as the student. Student dashboard, and as you can see now, all the questions are closed. Open question, the number is 0. And if I click close questions, I can see the green check mark saying this is correct, and the red cross saying that is wrong. And there's also a green cross saying no more submissions are allowed. Okay, so this is the exam feature we have in this system. So let me talk to you a little bit more about what we can do with this tool and why I built this tool. So the cool thing about this tool is it supports it's a question bank, supports micro-credentials. And with the micro-credentials, we can mine the student data, and it can help us figure out what do students know versus what they don't know, or versus what they are struggling. And if we see what they are struggling at the beginning of the 231, and it will help us to determine, do we want to spend more time to review 131 stuff, or we can move on and teach the 231 knowledge. And if you want to stay one more lecture to, if you want to spend one more lecture to review 131 content, and what should the content be? Okay, so this is a question we can answer after we deploy the system to our 131 and 231 students, and we can have the answer for this. And in the near future, I'm going to continue this project. I'm going to do more data visualizations to help instructors understand what we can find from the student question behaviors. Okay, so that's it, and thank you for your time. Bye.